I do know tomorrow is 14th of Feb, and I'm sure if you're single, 1,000 people must have asked you by now, what is your plan?
Do you have a plan? And I think it's a lot of pressure for all of us, okay? Like, why is that everybody wants to know? And to be very honest, what is Valentine's Day? Have you ever thought about it? Why is everybody celebrating it? What is this, obsession with celebration of love, or this whole celebration of whatever that means? So today I want to talk about that. What is the history of Valentine's Day? Does it make sense for us? Why are we Indians going crazy? And if we are, if we are lonely, is finding a person just for the heck of it the right answer, or how should we go about it?
Now, when you think about Valentine's Day, what does come in your mind? You think about, romantic people, you think about flowers, you think about chocolates. But the history of Valentine's, Saint Valentine, has nothing to do with any of this. It's actually pretty brutal if you get to know the history. So now I'm going to tell you what really happened. So Saint Valentine was a priest. He was a Christian priest who during the time of around 500 AD was in Rome. And he was preaching the word of God as a church leader, which was not allowed. Rome back then was not a Christian country, okay? And then he actually dared to marry off couples or lovers, especially the Roman soldiers who were not allowed to be married. This is what he was doing. The king back then did not want Roman soldiers to get married because he thought if soldiers are getting married, they are not good soldiers. So this man, our Valentine, he used to walk around with a ring in his hand which looked in the shape of a cupid. And then that's how people got to know that he was the priest. And then he used to give letters which had the word of God about Bible and things like that how you should worship God. And he started marrying off people. He actually married off couples.
So that's why he was remembered as a man who was, who did something for love. Now, this was not really great. What really happened after this was something to be remembered. So the king, he was against all this conversion and, Christian weddings and all. So he beheaded him. Done. He was actually killed. So our Valentine the priest was killed for the act of, marrying people off. And that's how church back then wanted to remember him. So they church for their heroic acts, they choose people who in the name of religion or for religion who did something, they declared them as saints. So that's why Valentine the priest became Saint Valentine. And why 14th of Feb? This is just happens that 14th of Feb was a pagan festival. Now back then, during this time 5th century, Rome was a pagan nation, which basically means they used to worship idols, statues. So in order to remove that pagan festival, which was on fertility, combination of a man or a woman, they declared Saint Valentine's Day on 14th of Feb. Now this is all okay. This happened around, 5th, 500 AD, centuries back. How is it still happening around this time? And this is where we have to remember other writers and literatures who, kept it going. Now, how did Saint Valentine's Day, did you ever think about it, become such a big thing in India? Now, slowly, like I was saying, Hallmark Company, Archery's company, they started selling these cards. Will you be my Valentine? I mean, I remember in my school days, I didn't even understand what is Valentine. But 14th Feb, there was a lot of pressure. Nobody gave you card. Whom are you going to propose? And before that, before the 14th Feb, there was this whole things about one day for rose. So people had to give rose to each other. So most beautiful girls will get rose. And guys had the guts to go and, give somebody the rose. Then there was this chocolate day. People had to give... we had no money. But we would be giving chocolates to each other. Then there was this teddy bear day. Okay, I have never understood the concept of teddy bear day. But there were so many days before 14th of Feb, And I was just looking at it, why rose? Technically, what is the whole concept behind why would rose be such a big thing? If you look at it, it's one of the flowers which has thorns, very difficult to hold. But I think so for rose, in a lot of countries like Rome in the past, rose was also an element of secrecy. So whenever messages had to be passed, rose was the flower which was being used. So that's why rose picked it up. But also if you look at it, there are different colors of rose. Red rose, matlab love. White rose, friendship. Yellow rose, friendship. So I mean, it's so fascinating that there's a day dedicated to red rose. And then even in our cinema, now if you remember Dil To Pagal Hai, I don't know how many of us have watched it. This Bollywood cinema with Shah Rukh Khan, Madhuri Dixit, Karishma Kapoor. Dil To Pagal Hai, Dil Deewana Hai. That the whole movie was about love, balloons, red balloons, giving love, giving cards to each other, and how there is this one soul, your soulmate, Maya, out there. You will go give it to that person. So of course we are fed up on this. We literally grew up. At least the people of the 90s, we grew up on this. This idea of love, idea of this, that somebody will give me a card, somebody will write me that letter, the secret letter aayega. And there is a real gift culture. There are gift cards, there is gift culture around it. So there, of course, there's a lot of pressure. Even in India, because even we watch Netflix now. Even we watch all the things that's happening in the West. So clearly we are influenced by it. And we also want to be part of it. And end of the day, who doesn't want to be loved? Who doesn't like receiving a rose? Now a lot of writers and poets have been, writing about love and all. But for the longest time, during the 13th century and all, it was mostly about devotion. It was mostly about worship, So worship to nature, devotion to God. This love for one person, this love for one partner, was first time. There's a poet called Geoffrey Chaucer. I'm really not sure about the pronunciation. Geoffrey Chaucer. He was the one who first time used the word Valentine in his poem. And then he spoke about my love for the Valentine. Love letters, in the context of love letters, writing letters to context of one person, one partner. I think so even Shakespeare in Midnight Summer's Dream, he also has used the word Valentine. My Valentine, will you be my Valentine? So these are the times, when this word was being picked up again and again, that will you be my Valentine, will you be my loved one? And how this got picked up. And then over the time, market and, all these forces came together. And then, I don't know if you remember, there was something called the Valentine's Day card. Back then, people used to create cards. Hallmark really came into this, where they created cards and everybody had this lovely little beautiful card. Have you ever seen a card? Will you be my Valentine, the Valentine's Day card? And people used to give it to someone you love. So this is where it happened. And then along the way then came the chocolates, the flowers, the teddy bears, everything we could imagine was being discussed as Valentine's Day, And this whole pressure of be with somebody you love, you need to have a lover, you need to have somebody that you can declare as my Valentine. So if we look at the history, not all the part of Valentine's Day was, nice. The history itself, the origin itself is so brutal. But yeah, over the time, it has become funny also. There is something called Be My Galentine. And this is on 13th of Feb. I think so it was celebrated from one of the Netflix shows where you celebrate the day with your friends you love. And of course, the idea of love has really expanded now. So now people think like, why it has to be just one person? Why can't it be 3-4 people? Why can't it be my friends? Why can't it be people we really want to spend our time with? So this Valentine's, this is what I would like you to do. If you have a friend, if you have somebody you really love, if you have somebody you really care about, show them, not just with flowers or, chocolates and cards, but with the act of love. Because it's nothing. It's funny. Valentine's Day was never about, just going and proposing someone you personally like. That was not the idea. But my point is, if you are not on your own happy, if you're not sure who do you want, who is your lover, what do you want in love, this is all useless. So I know it's very difficult as one person. What can you do when everybody around you is talking about Valentine's Day? Everybody is going out for dinners with their so-called partners. So this Valentine's Day, this is what I would suggest you to do. Go and tell it to your friends, people you really love, people you really care about. And instead of spending money on, cards and flowers and chocolates and God not what, spend it with time. Give people the time they deserve and spend it with them. Don't focus on how I'm lonely. Don't focus on how I don't have anybody. Start focusing on the fact that, I have people who love me. I want to be loved. And how do I, become that person worthy of love? Because remember, the origin was about people fighting to be with loved ones. These soldiers who were not allowed to be loved, who were not allowed to be married, and they going against their king and having the strength to marry. So Saint Valentine's Day, I would say it was actually it was a religious festival. It was never a romantic festival. And now even church doesn't celebrate Saint Valentine's Day. It's so sad in a way that church removed it from its calendar. So there's no more Saint Valentine's Day in the church, but the whole world celebrates the Saint Valentine's Day. So do it differently this year. Do make that special meal. Write that special email. Send it to people you love and tell them how much you love.